been a while since I've checked in on The View and Stephen A. Smith and Karine Jean-Pierre as guests. These are a few of my favorite things. Welcome to the Doug TenNapel channel, as we're here to mostly mock Democrats in the blind leading the blind. Let's watch. Stephen A. Smith.
Joy. So Trump's only been in office for 6 weeks. Seems like 6 years, doesn't it? And he's been going around.
Seems like just 6 hours, Joy. The time is flying.
With his cronies touting his so-called landslide and blowout win. But he won the popular vote by 1.5%, one of the smallest ever, and he won the general election by less than 50%. So what kind of mandate is this really?
Well, it is a mandate, and I'm going to explain why. And I don't mind the question, but let me be very clear. I'm no supporter of Trump. I'm a supporter of truth and the facts. And here's the facts. The man won every swing state. He increased in terms of his voter turnout in his favor from the standpoint of blacks, Latinos, and young voters.
Holy moly. Joy Behar, what argument is there against that? He just decimated her. This is a Democrat. So we're already going to have to make some kind of we'll have to make a strata of who's the biggest liar. And so far, we have, and it depends on who tells the most truth. They're all going to be Democrats, okay? So far, we're going to put Stephen A. Smith above Joy Behar on capability of telling the truth, though they're all Democrats. Remember that. Not all liars are the same. They're not all as bad. There's gradations.
Increased his numbers in that regard from 2020. 89% of the counties shifted to the right. That's a mandate. We can sit up there and play around all we want to. In 2020, Trump didn't win the popular vote.
See, I think something about Stephen A. Smith being a jock and probably, a D student. He went to college, but usually a jock, they're getting by on their basketball skills. But him being a jock, one thing he knows is about winning. Every basketball player knows, like, there's winning and losing. And I think he really gets the Trump is a winner thing. I don't think any of these The View people are athletes.
He didn't win the electoral college vote. A matter of fact, the Republicans hadn't won the popular vote, if I remember correctly, since 2004. But they did this year. So 20 years after they last won the popular vote, they won the popular vote. They won the electoral college vote. The man won every swing state. And on top of it, 89% of the counties shifted against. I don't understand how people can look at that and say, there's no mandate. There's a mandate.
Well, it's a different definition of a mandate, I guess.
But the problem is that if you're the Democratic Party and you lost 49.8% to 48.3%, and you're looking at that 1.5% dip, that's an excuse for you to say, what we did really wasn't that bad.
Some people didn't
we should continue to do that. No, don't continue to do it. Find a new strategy.
But do you think those groups, the black voters, the Latino voters, and the others that you mentioned, are they going to regret it soon?
Possibly. I think so. I don't like what I'm seeing from Trump. I didn't like what I saw with Zelensky. I didn't like what I saw with a few things. But in the end,
Zelensky.
the point, I didn't like it. But in the end, what it comes down to is this. The American people, in their eyes, it wasn't about him. They were voting against what the Democrats were throwing in their direction. I don't only talk to Cuomo. I did interview Eric Adams. I did interview Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. I interviewed these people. I've talked to them, and I'm going to talk to some more of them, too. And I'm going to say the same message. What are you doing to win? I love Wes Moore, the governor of Maryland. I love John Kerry of Pennsylvania, okay? I just interviewed Cuomo. I like him a lot. I want somebody to step up and recognize that man in the Oval Office, whether you like it or not, is potent. He's coming, and he wins. You got to find a way to beat him. This way is not the way that the Democrats have been doing it.
Yeah, we got to go back to exactly what she said. Look at this. Joy Behar is saying, but all those minorities, they're gonna regret it soon, right? That's their narrative. There's no guarantee. There's not really even a great chance that they're going to regret voting for Trump. On what grounds are they going to regret voting for him? Yes, if inflation continues to grow, if the border remained open, right? They might regret voting for him. If the war in Ukraine continued on, there's a lot of those reasons why. If the deep state continued to grow and we had the FBI spying on citizens, they might have a problem with it. But overall, what is a Democrat going to come in and promise? What, more welfare? Is that what those Hispanics and blacks, is that what Joy Behar, I keep calling her Joy Reid, I'm sorry. I wouldn't even insult Joy Behar by calling her Joy Reid. This one has Karine Jean-Pierre. I've been impressed with her because I'm wondering if now that she's free to tell the truth, now that she's out from under the Biden, a lie machine, the last video we saw of her, she was telling the truth. So I'm curious if any more truth slips out of her little head.
The Trump administration has made some interesting changes, including barring the Associated Press from key press areas for not using the term Gulf of America instead of Gulf of Mexico.
Oh, boy.
And they've taken over control of press pool coverage for the first time, I think, in over 100 years.
Yeah.
What is your view of what is happening? And do you have any advice for the current press secretary?
Hold on. First, don't give me this deep stuff and all this truth stuff. First, let's get to what's important. I think I need to judge these ladies' outfits. Now look on the right there. Sunny Hostin has some level of tact, but she's doing vertical stripes. And look at her background, vertical stripes. Total clash, bland brown. And now we look at Karine Jean-Pierre on the left. Look at that. She's looking forward to springtime. It's a floral. Springtime, beautiful white. That is a lovely outfit. It's probably influenced by Jill Biden, who we know loved dressing up in the curtains and the linens from the couch, floral patterns. But I just got to say, just from a fashion standpoint, Karine wins.
So here's the thing. The Associated Press, if you look at the Associated Press, they are the oldest wire in the press briefing room. You think about journalists, you think about the reason they're in the press briefing room, you think about the reason they're in the pool. It's called the protective pool. There are 13 members of the pool. I'll try not to get too wonky here. And their job is to provide unbiased information to the American people.
How were they doing that job? How is she saying that with a straight face? I mean, she hasn't followed it up yet, but I'm only saying she started the whole thing with, they're supposed to, she said with a straight face, give you an unbiased presentation of the news in that press pool. I can say even Ducey is for Trump. Even on the right, there's bias. I don't know how she can say that with a straight face.
Because the American people deserve that.
Well, if we deserve it, why didn't you ever give it to us? I agree. Unbiased reporting. Just make these quotes, ask similar questions to Karine as you would Caroline Leavitt, and nothing. I mean, Barack Obama was so precious that they would never ask a bad question against him. And Biden was so protected and Karine was so defensive. But the actual journalists themselves wrote political drivel. And now she's agreeing. We, the people, deserve better.
And when the White House press team decides to step in and override the White House Correspondents Association, who they have the job of doing that, then what we're looking at is state TV.
Yep.
What we're looking at is what Russia is doing.
No. Is TV today more state-like than it was over the last 20 years under Democrat control? So they claim freedom, whatever, they're not state TV. If you look up how the reporters and MSNBC and CNN, how they reported the news, there's a thinner difference between the Democrat Party and news media, right? That is the government, the actual Biden and Obama government. There's less air between them than there is between the media and Trump. So who is more like Russian state TV? In fact, Russia probably has more free speech than the Democrats, reporters do at reporting against the Democrat narrative.
What we're looking at is what North Korea is doing. And we are doing that. They are.
Oh yeah, North Korea. She just ran out of too many names. Don't forget to mention Goebbels and Hitler and Himmler, all these people. Don't forget, you missed out on a couple of names. Mussolini.
Attacking the fiber of the freedom of the press. They are destroying it because they want to be covered in a friendly way.
That's not true. That is so false. Trump doesn't need to even be covered in a friendly way. He won the election in a purely hostile media.
Yeah. And look, I was in that position for 2.5 years. It is an exercise, what we did in the press briefing room, what the president did when he took questions from the press. It is an exercise of...
Wait, when did Biden take questions from the press? He was famously, for months and months and months at a time, unavailable. This girl, Karine, we've been covering you for years since you got your job from Jen Psaki.
Democracy. And we have to remember that when the press briefing room was televised, it's not just televised here. in the United States.
Right.
It's televised globally.
A lot of people don't know that.
And right, people are wondering, other countries are wondering, what are we saying as the United States? What is it that we want to do?
Yeah, what were we saying when you kicked Simon Ateba out of the media room for asking hostile questions? And man, they gave him the boot. And by the way, she right now, there's her mouth opening up with lies coming out. So she's going back to defense mode and lie mode. But if any of the ladies of The View were interested in telling the truth, they'd push back on her on this. Who's the most Republican of them? Probably Sarah Griffin or whatever her name is. Will she ask a question, a challenge to prove that, or are they just going to let Karine give them propaganda?
And it is an exercise of democracy. It is the cornerstone of democracy. The freedom of the press is the fourth estate. And we are supposed to be leading that as the most powerful country in the world.
It's called the First
Karine,
Oh,
Trump
brother.
administration.
This is garbage. Okay, let's get the next quote in here just because this is Whoopi.
Joy has the first question, but when Stephen was leaving, she said, nice to meet you. I disagree with you.
Yes, I do.
And I was curious, and so that's why I was curious.
I do, on the mandate, on Donald Trump and his administration having a mandate. And we have to be super mindful and careful of this because he does not have a mandate. And what
Oh, okay. Do the Democrats who lost have a mandate?
I mean by that is if you look at the numbers, just look at the facts. He won with the smallest margin of the popular vote since the 19th century. There was no coattail, meaning that it is the House is at a razor thin, and he's on his way in the first 100 days to be the most unpopular president in their first 100 days.
It doesn't matter. Look, George, I just read a statistic last night where George Bush, the father, when he won in 1988, remember he lost in 1992 to Bill Clinton. During his 4 years, at one point, he was one of the most popular presidents to poll ever in office with like a 70% unheard of popularity rating. So don't tell me, 60 days, less than, about 45 days into Trump terms about polls when Biden had the lowest polls ever.
Yeah.
That is not a mandate.
In 70 years.
In 70
The
years.
word man is in there.
Well,
That's questionable.
But I guess the question is, does it matter if he has both houses of Congress and the White House?
it does matter because right now we have what we're seeing in this administration is he's taking a wrecking ball to the government.
Yeah.
And what that means, and so that people really understand as folks are sitting here and watching, there are folks who have been fired from the federal government,
Good.
and now is our water safe, right?
Wait, what? I haven't even heard this one. Where is our water in danger, Karine, besides not being there in California, where she's going to, is this going to be, I'm waiting for this to roll out this week. Is that going to be the next one they're going to attack him with? Our water is unsafe?
Is our food safe?
Right.
Are the skies?
What about the skies?
Right.
Are the skies safe?
Right? We have
It's the sky is falling. Guys, that's the big thing with Trump right now. This is the new Democrat rollout, I guess. The skies aren't safe, the food's not safe, and your water isn't safe.
worry about
Safe.
getting on a plane. Is that going to be safe?
There's going to be a pandemic.
Is there going to be a
Scary.
pandemic?
Is there a
And not only that,
pandemic?
folks who need
There was a pandemic under the last administration. How worried?
their Social Security check,
Yeah.
are you going to get it?
Scary.
I mean, that is real. And they're doing it without concern of the fallout.
Right. They don't
Yeah.
care.
And that is something that and look, I
I'm
understand.
pretty sure people.
What about, aren't we afraid of mega MAGA Republicans anymore? What about extremists? What about white supremacists? Are we afraid of them anymore? Where's that at? What about misinformation and disinformation?
Didn't vote for those things.
Right, because where's the economy? What happened to, we're going to bring prices down? We saw what he did with the tariffs yesterday.
Yeah.
Who put the prices up? Why are they high? How's gas prices? How's food? How are eggs? How is it? How's meat? How about home loans? How about interest rates for home loans?
The American people are going to be paying for that. And it's going to increase. If you look at car prices, if you could look at food prices, all of that is going to go up. And foreign countries are not paying for that. We are paying for that. It's
Are we going to be part of NATO?
Are we going to be? And look, it's a moronic policy. It is. But let's be clear. He said he was going to do that during his election.
Yeah. And
So she goes, it's a moronic policy, and he said he was going to do it during the election, and then we voted him into office. So she's calling the American people morons. We're moronic,
he's doing
and we still don't have a mandate?
Doing it.
And this is, look, the strategy is chaos. It's truly chaos. But we cannot forget, and we have to start asking the hard questions as to what is happening right now. This is a 5-alarm fire.
So
a 5-alarm fire.
Let me follow up on something else.
But but I thought the button only goes up to 4 alarms. She's all this dial goes up to 11. This one goes up to 5. It's a 5-alarm fire. What about, I say it's a 6-alarm, a 6.5 alarm fire.
We're talking about. And do you think the Democrats should walk out tonight?
Look, the Democrats have a couple questions that they need to ask themselves. The one is, who are they? Who are we as a party?
Oh, that's so good. I'm just going to rest in this for a minute. So the Democrats have a couple of important questions, really, like what's our plan on tax policy, or how do we help minorities? Or she goes, no, the question is, number one, who are we? We don't even know who we are. That's a pretty bad, is Aunt Martha okay? Aunt Martha, no, she doesn't know who she is.
What are we fighting for?
Yeah.
And are we meeting the moment? Because these moments are not normal. This is not normal. It is we have to have a sense of urgency as we move forward. And we
A 5-alarm emergency.
cannot do it the way that we've had in the past. We
Yes.
just cannot.
That's right.
Because
And
this
so-
is not normal.
This is not normal.
And it's
this
a
is not
5-alarm,
normal.
as you say.
It is a 5-alarm.
5-alarm again, and this is not normal. We can't fight it like we normally do. You know what Democrats normally do? They protest and they sing chant songs, and that's all I've been seeing them do. So they are fighting it like they normally do, going back to 1960.
Fire. And if we do not act as if it is a 5-alarm fire,
5-alarm
look,
fire.
He's not just coming after vulnerable communities anymore. That was obviously something that is incredibly problematic.
He's coming after the invulnerable ones. He's not just coming after vulnerable ones.
He's trying to make every other community outside of the vulnerable community vulnerable themselves,
Yeah, he's going to spread vulnerability. I thought male vulnerability was a good thing.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
No, it
Because
doesn't.
of what he's going after and what he's doing. Because it's affecting all of us. Everybody. All of us.
Well, 45 days in and it's affecting me. I don't feel a thing. 45 days in, my life is pretty much outside of my warm, happy heart with a song on it. My life is exactly the same as under Biden. Okay, so 45 days is not going to change the prices of things in my fridge. It's not going to bring me a job. Okay, 45 days. Let's be serious. This stuff takes time. But she's like, 45 days. It's already over. You got to put some gas in the tank, Corinne. You're going to have to scream this stuff for 4 years.
Education.
Education.
Oh, yeah.
And we care about
I
education.
really miss you,
Education. Yeah.
Yeah,
We were getting straight A's, and then after 45 days of Trump, we went from straight A's in education to now we're all failing all of our classes. Okay, Corinne. But wait, there's more. The punishment, I have like 3 more clips to play. So I know you didn't come here to watch The View. I'm going to interrupt this all day too. If you just want to watch these clips uninterrupted, go to X and click on The View and you can watch the show. I'm here to interrupt it as much as I possibly can. I'm here to mock them. I don't care if it shows up on other channels. I was doing The View before anybody. So I feel like I'm entitled. I'm entitled.
Let me just ask you this, because we're running out of time.
Yeah.
You are a groundbreaker in so many ways. A
glass ceiling breaker. She's the first lesbian, female, Black press secretary to lose her job. She's the first to have the lowest ratings as a White House press secretary. That's a first.
glass ceiling breaker in so many ways. You have a master's degree from Columbia. You are a lecturer in international public affairs at Columbia, chief public affairs officer for MoveOn.org. You've been a political analyst at NBC News, MSNBC.
This is all like all of Barack Obama's accomplishments. You were a community organizer. You raised money, for Acorn. These are all grifter jobs.
You were the regional political director for the White House, Office of Political Affairs.
If she said like I was a manager at Hobby Lobby, I'd be more impressed. I was a manager at Target. I worked, graveyard at Steak and Shake. I'd be impressed. Or even I worked in accounting at Popeye's Chicken. I'd be impressed. Anything, Target, any normal job. Her saying like even I was an Uber driver, I would be more impressed than all of these accomplishments.
During the Obama administration, the list really goes on. You're fluent
only
in
an
3.
hour show, son.
Yeah, but you're fluent. I'm making a point, though.
I mean, I have more respect for Joy Behar, who was once a school teacher.
You're fluent in 3 languages, but the right
Ebonics doesn't count.
is calling you a DEI hire.
Oh, my God.
Definitely.
What is your response to that?
The fact that they focus on me so much, it probably should put it as a badge of honor. But look, right now, DEI is being used as a catch-all phrase for people, for things that they don't like. And we got to be really clear here, too. DEI did not cause that tragic plane accident in Washington, D.C. DEI is not causing the increase of prices, right? Although they'll blame it on us.
Yeah.
But DEI did cause the tragic hiring of you because you're actually unqualified. And if anyone else tried out for that job, there are thousands of people. I can think of, there's probably 1,000 more Black gay women that are more qualified than you. So, just don't, she's going to give me this, you earned it. Historically, one of the most ineffective and worst White House press secretaries we've ever had. It's on Karine Jean-Pierre.
And I do believe that diversity is our strength. It is the strength of our nation. Inclusion is important. And it makes us a better country. And when we do things like that...
She worked for a white man. She worked for a rich white old man who stole grift from other innocent people. And she's telling us diversity is our strength. You worked for Joe Biden, an albino, he's like an Aryan nation, head of Aryan nation level of Viking albinoism, and you worked for him, and you're talking to me about diversity? Sorry.
When the other side does
Even Trump is from the orange race.
things like that and scapegoat people, it actually puts vulnerable communities in danger.
Yep.
And look, what we saw in the Biden-Harris administration was something that represented who we are as a nation.
We lose elections is who we are as a nation. That's what Kamala and Biden represent. You got one opportunity, you got one win out of a lying grift, and then after people saw your actual performance, you lost an election, and if that's who we are as a nation, then there you go.
And that is really important because inclusion is what we should be striving for.
Yeah, I like to include the orange people and the J.D. Vance people. Now look, we haven't heard from Whoopi enough. We haven't heard Whoopi sloshing around in there yet.
Democratic officials have been furious about the whirlwind of executive orders, government layoffs, slashing federal programs, cutting off aid to Ukraine, and imposing tariffs. So there's a lot of speculation about what they're going to do tonight when you know who starts his primetime joint address to Congress, which he's calling the renewal of the American dream. So people are saying, well, how should the Democrats handle it? I'm not even, please. What should they do? Should they sit and listen? Should they get butt naked and dance around?
Buck naked, and that's always your answer to everything. Get buck naked and dance around. She's acting a little, I would say, tired. Alex Jones thinks she's sloshed. I haven't seen it yet. I just think a little tired.
What should happen?
That's a slurred speech. What should happen? You guys, Stephen Smith, you're my best friend. You're a good old buddy, Stephen A. Me and you, we're in cahoots with each other. You know what I mean, Stephen? You guys, you're some of the best people I know.
They all wait till the end when freshman Senator Elise Slotnick.
There you go, Elise. There's some diversity.
Gives the Democratic response. Anybody?
I think they should walk out en masse.
Naked or clothed?
Naked. Naked would be good.
You.
Naked could be interesting.
I mean, they should walk out, or is there going to be a laugh track, by the way? I think they should walk out. I think that a picture is worth 1,000 words.
Yeah.
I would refer you back to Nancy Pelosi tearing up the State of the Union.
Oh, yeah, that was a moment of class right there. And that's what she thinks they should do again. Yes. Hakeem Jeffries, tear up that address Speaking of a dress, will Hakeem Jeffries appear in a white dress? Not that there's anything wrong with that. I try not to be judgy.
We still remember that. That was a moment of protest. And just sitting there and being docile is not working. He's over the edge. He's, as you put it out there in the intro, he is, I think that we've passed the point of no return with him, and we need to really stand up to him big time.
Uh-oh. She's advocating for violence again, Joy. We try not to do that. Haven't you guys learned your lesson yet? Advocating for stepping it up and being docile is not effective. I'm all for a walkout, by the way. You got to walk out, you got to walk out. You quit, you quit.
And they are in the position of doing that, and they should do it.
Well,
we certainly can't expect the Republicans to do anything.
I think all the Republicans should dress up in like Victorian garb. They should also bring clown noses and horns, and as the Democrats walk out, go like honk, 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 honk. Get those air horns. When they walk out, confetti cannons, cheer them on. Goodbye, walk out.
I agree with you, Joy, to a certain extent. I actually don't think that they should show up at all.
Okay.
I think
I'll go with that too.
I think that
We're going to argue over if they should show up or walk out. She's just saying, don't even show up at all.
when history resurfaces the photos of this first speech in this abnormal presidency, he said he was going to be a dictator from day one, and we warned about the demise of our democracy. And
we are 45 days into the dictatorship. I still haven't seen any evidence of it yet, but I'll take her word for it and Trump's word for it.
Rise of fascism, and I think we've seen it in the first days of his presidency.
Wait, where's the fascism?
I think the record will show that the room was half empty. And that
it's half empty even when the Democrats are there, if you're counting human hearts and brains.
Democrats fought him, that the Democratic Party is actually an opposition party at this point, not a resistance party. I don't like the optics of walking out simply because that sort of seems to me to get into the Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert type of histrionics. And I think it would be much better to...
Way to throw two women under the bus. Here's another feminist. She only pointed out the two women.
Simply deny him the audience that he craves so very much, and at the same time showing that they are the opposition party.
I disagree with both of you. I think their job is to show up and to listen, and I think there's a strength in optics in that too. We're not going anywhere. We came here, we're sitting here, we're doing our job, and I think it was Representative Jayapal that said, we are not going to say we avoid it, or we walk away, or we're scared. We show up, we sit there stern faced. It doesn't mean you have to be polite and clap and stand up. You can stand there as an unbreakable force showing you're not going anywhere, and I think that is a stronger thing. Don't be a distraction to the insanity that comes in the words of the night, meaning don't get in his way. Carville has said over and over, and I continue to agree with this, don't become a common enemy, which is what Oz said in Wicked. The best way to pull people together is to give them a common enemy. Every time the Democrats do
something... Well, you guys are doing a great job at giving your side a common enemy of Trump. Look how they're saying. I mean, Whoopi can't even say his name. She's like, you know who.
Something really symbolic, which I understand what you're saying, Joy, about like walk out. I know people feel helpless. But what did the walking out do? It made a mockery in some ways of people saying, see, they can't even sit there and listen, or they didn't even show up and their job is to show up. You show up stern-faced, unbreakable, organized, and let those optics speak for themselves.
They're giving him legitimacy by showing up.
They are not. The voters gave him.
But you're not taking away any legitimacy by leaving. I agree with, I just want to end this show on, wow, this is a long episode. Well, you see, when you spend time with The View, the time just flies. I agree with all these women that no matter what they do, whether if they show up and during this joint session, and whether if they walk out, and whether if they protest, it doesn't matter. So they're all right. I got to support all of The View ladies. They don't show up, they can show up, they can protest, or they can stand there and respect the institution and just say nothing. It's all the same. Because you're all out of office, we're going to enjoy this for at least 2 more years. Tomorrow we cover the Trump joint address. I'm Doug in exile.